Hey everyone. The reason there's no one here from Toronto is because they've already seen me speak, and this is old news to them. So, but you guys, thank you very much for coming to join me for my talk. Hope everyone's been having an awesome AWE, just like me. Yeah, I'm Morgan Young. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Quantum Capture. We are a venture-backed tech company based in Toronto, Canada. We focus on creating extremely realistic virtual humans that are powered by chatbots and AI. So we've been doing this for a few years now. Company was founded in 2015. We've been working with companies like Sony Interactive, Ubisoft, Warner Brothers, and companies like that, providing them with really high-end digital characters. So we've been doing this mostly under a fee-for-service model, and now we started to transition the company into a more scalable software platform called Control Human, which I'll be sharing with you guys today. So just to kick things off, I'm going to play my company sizzle reel. It should give you a bit of a flavor for what we do. Awesome. So yeah, I've got a lot of content that I want to cover in a pretty short amount of time. So in order to get through everything, I'm going to be talking about 4 topics. I'm going to look at a bit of my background and my co-founder's background, like how did we get started down this avenue. Going to dive into a bit of the philosophy and why we build these characters. I'll dive into our technical process and then quickly explore market fit. How are we getting this content out into the world and how are people using it? All right. So I met my co-founder, Craig Alguire, while working back at Ubisoft years ago. We're both game developers. We got the fortune to work on really large AAA franchises for Ubisoft, titles like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and a new title called Starlink that's going to be coming out later this year. This really gave us the grounding for everything we're doing today. We cut our teeth, learning 3D for real time. I was an environment artist, so I created really elaborate, realistic sets, landscapes, props, all sorts of digital content for users to interact with when they're playing some of these games. So a big focus of mine is to really analyze the real world and try to replicate it authentically inside of a game engine. My partner Craig was an effects artist, so he focused on things like environmental effects, creating these beautiful, lush environments, things like particle simulations, explosions, really awesome interactive components to the game. And while we were at Ubisoft, we started experimenting with photogrammetry. So for anyone who's not familiar with photogrammetry, it's a 3D scanning technique. Basically, it can be done with a single handheld DSLR. And what you do is you find something and you walk around and you take dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of pictures of this object from different angles and locations. And then we use this magical software that stitches all these photos together into a hyperreal 3D mesh. So at the time we were doing 3D scans of our colleagues. We were scanning their heads in our spare time and producing amazing content, like better results than we were achieving on the art team at, like on Assassin's Creed, for instance. So we really knew we were onto something. And it was right around that point that Oculus dropped a DK1 Kickstarter. So we managed to get our hands on an Oculus headset. We combined some of these 3D scans that we were doing of our coworkers up in a Unity scene. And as soon as we saw like 3D people in VR, it was like a bomb went off inside my head. This was the future of content creation. This is really where the industry is going to start heading. So I did my best to try and sell this up the chain to Ubisoft, and they didn't really bite. They thought it was too early, unproven, and weren't interested. But Craig and I knew we had the skill sets required to really blow this up. So we found some angel investment, decided to jump ship, and we founded Quantum Capture back in 2015 with a focus on creating the most interactive, lifelike, realistic virtual humans for emerging technologies and platforms. So that's a bit of background. What keeps us going? Well, we really think that virtual humans are going to be the key to uniting new frontier technologies. You guys are well aware that there's a whole whack of really powerful, highly disruptive technologies coming online right now, like machine learning, natural language, of course, AR and VR, big data. Yet these all kind of exist as their own sort of siloed components. They're not really consolidated around anything, and it's a bit of a fragmented ecosystem. We truly believe that virtual humans are going to be the asset and the tool that we use to marry all this technology together and interact with it naturally. We really believe that virtual humans are going to be the interface of the future, the ultimate user interface. So imagine Amazon Alexa that you could actually walk up to and have a conversation with, IBM with a face that you can see and talk to and see emote. This is the kind of technology and thought that fuels us every day. So just to point this out, this is not a photograph that's a rendering of a virtual human rendered in real time inside the Unreal game engine. And really, this is where we see technology heading. Voice-enabled assistants that look real and can interact with you in AR and VR. So just to expand upon that, take these characters home with you, take them as brand ambassadors or product specialists and put them in your room. They're going to be location or aware of your location. They'd be able to help you make decisions around purchasing products, showing you how to use products, explaining things to you really naturally and interactively and intuitively. You're going to start seeing brand ambassadors represent companies and become the sort of personification of particular brands. So how does one go about building a virtual human? Well, for us, it starts with a 3D scan. So this is a photogrammetry rig. This is our rig, which is located back in our studio in Toronto. Essentially, what it allows us to do is bring real people into the studio. We put them up on that platform. And in an instant, we capture them from head to toe in extremely high-resolution photography. There's 112 DSLR cameras here. They're all synchronized to one remote trigger, and they all output to 4 PC stations. So we gather those photos together and start stitching them into a 3D mesh. So when we're shooting talent, we tend to cast locally. We bring in actors that are willing to have their likeness sort of released to others to use. We capture characters in as minimal amount of clothing as possible, and what that allows us to do is later on in the process put on digital clothing and make it really easy to swap in and out, wardrobe and props and different assets. So the capture process takes about half a day. We do a number of body scans, and then we pull the rig in together and we focus on really high resolution facial scans. These are some of these facial scans. So we work off a system called FACS, and that stands for Facial Action Coding System. It's a set shot list that accounts for the entire range of motion of a human face, kind of like a biomechanical model that we can work off of. So we shoot about 30 poses of the actor's face in various positions, and we're able to combine that all into one model and parameterize it. So you slide one slider up, and the eyebrows go up. Slide it down, and he frowns. And this is an example of that married model, fully rigged. This is running inside of Maya. And yes, we do give him eyes. Just let this video play. You'll see tremendous effort goes into being able to track each one of those scans accurately down to the pore level. So as we drag these sliders around, they're blending in certain regions of those individual scans. And then we replicated the system inside the Unreal Engine. So we have parity between our authoring tool and the game engine. So next component or phase of the pipeline is to add animation to these characters. So we have a full Vicon motion capture setup at our studio. We bring in either the same actor, or we could use a different actor, get them suited up in a motion capture suit, And from there, we can record really high fidelity body animation. Our animation director will lead the actor through a set sequence. We try to account for anything that this character could do on like the back end. So a lot of conversational animations, gestures, points, head nods, shrugs, things that you would experience when you're talking to another human. We try to capture all that authentically and put it on one of our digital humans. We then take all that data and we marry it together inside of a game engine. Our engine of choice is the Unreal Engine. We use the Blueprint system to hook up these facial rigs with our body animation. And we've developed our own solution for creating procedural animation for the character's face. This is a kind of a unique way of creating animation. We do it programmatically inside the editor as opposed to having an animator like keyframe out a sequence. We just drive this in real time through the system. So this is some of this procedural animation at play on this character now. So the character is deciding where to look. Little sort of muscle twitches and blinks and stuff is all being handled inside the engine. We don't have to worry about that. And we can dial it up and down as we need. So after that, we connect these characters to external third-party chatbots. We've built a bridge inside of the Unreal Engine that allows us to connect to these third-party services and pull in like voice and text data. So we support all the big players out there, Amazon Lex, IBM Watson, Google's Dialogflow, and Microsoft Azure. These are chatbots that allow us to script the logic of our characters without having to write game code. We can do it all through text fields in these chatbot services. Microsoft Azure also allows us to track or have facial recognition and track user emotion. Which we can then reflect and alter the performance and sort of influence how those characters respond to the user. And when you pull it all together...
Are you looking to check in with a reservation or take advantage of our concierge service?
Jumped ahead. When you pull it all together, we can have a real-time performance running in an engine that can be deployed to virtually any screen. I'm just going to back this up and play it again. So we built a POC for a hospitality client recently, and this next video aims to demonstrate what a virtual concierge is like. So you can imagine this guy being deployed on a big life-size screen in a hotel lobby and can help guests check in and sort of recommend local amenities and attractions.
I'm a virtual concierge. Are you looking to check in with a reservation or take advantage of our concierge services?
I'd like to check in.
Okay, let's get you checked in. First, I'll need your reservation code.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I've located your reservation. Welcome back to the
So it's
hotel.
taking Craig's voice there, it's processing his speech into text, sending that text out to the chatbot. The chatbot's determining the right response, sending that, or taking that text response, converting it back into audio, and then we're using that audio to drive things like the lip sync, his gesture, his behavior, populating the UI, which is completely dynamic.
Reservation is correct.
And we also support webhooks, which allow us to grab live data from the web, such as like maps data, restaurant reviews on Yelp, and present that to the user easily. And it also works in, in AR. So this is the same experience now ported over to Apple's AR kit. This is going to play. Sorry, let's try that again.
Welcome to the Hotel Royale. My name is Sean, and I'm a virtual concierge.
Super easy to reskin this, adapt it to a new scenario. Since everything's handled in a text field on a chatbot, you just edit it. All of a sudden, the character starts talking about something new.
First, I'll need your reservation code.
Due to time's sake, I'm going to skip along. So how are people using this content? Well, we've identified 3 high-value markets that we've been working in today: entertainment, customer service and support, and enterprise-level training and corporate training. So on the entertainment side, we've created digital doubles of movie stars. This is Academy Award-winning director Guillermo del Toro, and we created a digital double of him for an upcoming Sony title called Death Stranding. It'll be released later this year. You saw Sean, he's our virtual guest services agent, acting as a concierge at a hotel. We've also worked in the training space with 2 prominent Toronto hospitals, Sick Kids and Sunnybrook. We built a VR-enabled training simulator for their trauma surgeons to practice life-saving techniques and tasks inside of the ER. And beyond that, sky's the limit. We see opportunities in many, many fields. And I just put this slide in here because I want to highlight just a few, just to get you guys thinking about where this technology could be relevant. Brand ambassadors, I think, are going to be huge. Casino and gaming, hospitality, tourism, that's all going to be early adopters of virtual human tech. We're really excited about the potential for CG influencers as well. You guys might have seen a bit of the noise kicked up by the CG influencer Lil Michaela in the last few months. She is a 3D human that was developed by a company named Brud in LA. She has a social media account, an Instagram account with over 1 million followers. And she has this whole persona. Her backstory is like very fleshed out. It's brilliant. And she endorses brands. She's posing on her Instagram account with like Louis Vuitton and Chanel and major brands that are earning her creators a lot of money. She also has her own Spotify single, which is terrible. I don't recommend you listen to it, but this is kind of crazy. This is where the future of these characters is heading very quickly. And we're going to start seeing that we're getting transfixed and immersed in these digital characters' lives and paying them a lot of attention, for good or for worse. So this technology is here. It's great. How do we use it? Today it's really niche applications, but in order to scale this out, we need tools that developers can use to start creating their own content. We took a hard look out in the world to see what was available and really didn't see anything. So we decided to build our own platform called Control Human, which we're proudly showing off here at AWE today. So Control Human is a development platform that's based on integration with the Unreal Engine. It allows developers to easily access this type of character content and start creating their own applications quickly and easily. We support Windows, Mac OS, iOS, and can deploy to, as I said, anything with a screen. So mobile, 2D screens, touch screens, kiosks, and of course, augmented reality and virtual reality. Before anyone points it out, I know there's a spelling error there, but I caught it this morning. It was a little too late. So we've built the platform off of 3 core pillars. We have an extensible character library of pre-made assets that we license out to developers. They're drag and drop ready. They're built specifically to work with the Unreal PBR renderer and animation system. They're highly customizable and standardized, so easy to swap out and share. Secondly, our automated animation bridge. This is some of that procedural animation tech I was mentioning earlier that drive real-time performances in engine, so bypassing the need for an animator. And lastly, our conversational AI bridge, which is this modular framework that allows us to connect to third-party chatbot services. And this is really our value proposition with this platform that we're building. We take care of all the technical headache of character development and setup. The 2 biggest pain points in any production cycle are asset creation and animation. We bypass all that by licensing drag and drop characters that are just ready for use and really free developers and content creators up to focus on the fun stuff, the story, the narrative, the creative, and leave all the heavy lifting to us. So as a developer, you can expect to see like dramatic reductions in your development costs and timelines. So we've really proven out demand over the past few years by servicing some of the biggest AAA game studios out there and entertainment clients. We're now starting to build up a network of development partners that are early adopters of our tools and are starting to build really amazing content. So we're super excited about what they're producing. So looks like I'm almost out of time here. I just wanted to wrap things up by saying, we're not the only ones that think like this. A couple years ago, Michael Abrash, Oculus's chief scientist, was asked about what he thought the future of virtual reality held. He said that virtual humans are going to be the single most important factor in making VR and, to an extent, AR a part of our everyday lives. And we couldn't agree with him more. So I'm officially out of time. If you'd like to learn more, please come find me outside. I'd be happy to take some questions and talk to you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Perfect. So it looks like we do have a question. If you can answer that in under 30 seconds, how about that? As our next speaker, Ashley, gets ready to come on up.
Tracking of users to enable the virtual persona to look directly into the user's eyes. That could be awesome. Yes, totally achievable. We can just connect a microphone and a webcam to these characters inside of Unreal. Super easy using the Microsoft Azure platform to leverage their facial recognition and tracking solutions. We can even measure and guesstimate what the user looks like. We can guesstimate their age, their ethnic background, whether they have mustache or a hat or glasses on. So all this stuff is achievable. Yep, absolutely.